Okay, let's get going. Anybody had any luck with the feedback prize competition? Want to share what they were trying last week?
I haven't actually done anything on this competition just because of being going to be away. I haven't actually entered it, so unfortunately I didn't get a chance this week to do anything on it. So nothing for
So
me,
were you
I'm
able to
afraid.
make progress on the prior one and get that working, or?
No, I didn't have a chance even to look at that. So yeah, I wanted to look at the weight perturbation thing, but unfortunately I've just been had other things to do this week, so didn't get around to it.
Getting prepared for your
Yeah, packing my case.
Colossus vacation.
Yep. So nothing from me, I'm afraid.
What's the island called again? Colossus at Rhodes or something, right?
Yeah, it's Rhodes, yeah. So, yeah.
Cool. Arto, Jack, anybody attempt anything yet on the competition?
No, I hadn't really started with it yet.
But you, Jack?
Yeah, okay. I can say something. I've been following this particular notebook, just trying to integrate one of these tricks that are supposed to speed up the training into my workflow. And so, yeah, so like, because I'm using PyTorch Lightning, I found like some of them are already available there, so I can just include a training tag, and that's it. So I don't have to do anything extra. And the ones that I've had to do by myself were like this 8-bit optimizers, where I had to install an extra package called, I believe it's called Bits and Bytes actually. And yeah, I think that's it. All the other tricks, well, like the freezing models, it's you just set the parameters requires grad attribute to false if you want to freeze them. And like all the other tricks, I can just turn them on when using PyTorch Lightning. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing. Right, so this I'm training, but currently my training loss curve looks sort of quite flat, and it doesn't look, it looks strange, even though like the validation loss decreases. And so these are using most of the tricks I've just shown you. So I don't know if it's because of those tricks being a bit funny that my training curve is like this. I might need to turn some of them off to see what happens. Or maybe this is normal, I don't know. And yes, and I also noticed that there's a slightly different approach to this problem, which is instead of like using the discourse text as the main text input per sample, you use the essay text as the input per sample. And then you, so now what you do is, so here's your transformer model. Like instead of inputting just a single discourse, you input an entire essay. And so inside that essay, you have different parts of the elements, the different discourses. So like you can tag, you can use special tags to tag to tag each discourse in the essay. And then when you're doing the classification, you just take the logits corresponding to the CLS tokens for each type of discourse in the essay. So for example, here in the original essay, it begins with a claim. So you would include a CLS claim token and well, you just wrap it around like a CLS claim token and an end claim token. And then you pass it through the transformer. And then you just take the logits corresponding to the CLS claim token. And then you use that to make a prediction for the effectiveness of this particular claim. And you can also do similar things to other types of discourses, like here, concluding statements. And so in this way, it's I think he says the advantage of doing this is that it's faster because you just need to process individual essays. But he's not sure whether this will perform better than the method that most people have been using, which is to just process individual discourses. And yeah, I think, and also I noticed that there's this notebook, which is very comprehensive. Actually, it includes like a lot of references to previous competitions and the solutions. And then also some exploratory data analysis. So you can see you can see what the data looks like and get a feel, and then you can you can see the distribution of the different types of discourses, the distribution of the effectiveness per discourse type, and so on. And then he also includes his training, I believe, and as well as like CV, like validation. And actually, one of the new things that's included in this notebook is that he uses so like in the competition data, you only have the essays, the discourse text, the type of discourse, whether it's a lead, a claim, etc., and the effectiveness. And so, but this guy's used something to add an additional feature to each sample, which is he uses, I guess, a model code per topic. And using this pre-trained model, you can classify each discourse into different topics. And so using this, he was able to create an additional feature, which he calls topic, and add it to the data set. And so, yeah.
Does he show that addition of topic has impact on the results? Because I assume the topic means that the snippet from the essay, he's not classifying the essay topics, right? He's doing the discourse topics. if I understand correctly.
So I'm not entirely sure. I think this uncovers essay prompts used for each of the training results.
Okay. Yeah, I looked, or I haven't yet started. I identified this notebook as something to dive into to understand more, but.
Right. Yeah, actually, it's not in this notebook that he uses the bird topic model. It's in another notebook, and he's just using the outputs from that notebook in his notebook. So I guess you need to look at this notebook to see how to how bird topic was applied to the data set. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if using this additional feature has improved his score or not. Yeah. Yeah, and also I also watched that video, the Grandmaster series, and then like the previous competition was not sort of similar to the current one, but in the video they mentioned some tricks that they use to speed up the inference, and so it might be useful for this competition. And also
yeah, what on that note, what I saw is, training one of the guys who has uploaded a DBERTA large model that I used, and he has an inference notebook that you can just run and using his model, and that reduced my score from 72 to 61 or 62, 73 to 62 or something. But that's 0.73 to 0.62, that is. But the issue is training it apparently on Kaggle itself is pretty much a non-starter, because it seems A, it runs out of memory, and B, even when, or the other problem is, it apparently requires like 9 hours of runtime, which is far larger than what Kaggle allows. I think Kaggle is like 8 hours or something. And so he was saying that the way he did it was to use Colab, download the data. I mean, thankfully the data sizes are not large, so you can easily download it and work it off of Colab or something. So I think a lot of people are actually doing that to train the models that they eventually use, unless you're doing it on a small model to, get the concept working.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And do you know if that's after trying all these speed up tricks mentioned in this post?
That I don't know. I have to check this post to see. I mean, he's not using 8 bits. I believe he's using 16 bits. So I think, some of, and he's using fast tokenizers, that much I know. But I don't know whether he's using a lot of the other stuff, automatic mix precision. My understanding, and that's something I'm interested in a little more, but I thought AMP, at least initially, was for TensorFlow, and there's like an equivalent thing for PyTorch, but I don't know whether, and again, some of these, it's also specific to the framework. So I don't know, is this particular thing that in this notebook, is he using TensorFlow or PyTorch? Do you know, when he talks about it, these techniques, and whether any of them are dependent on the framework?
I think
Bits and Bytes is PyTorch library.
Yeah, I think
Sorry,
this guy.
Yeah, Bits and Bytes is for PyTorch.
Yeah, because it's made by Facebook AI. So, no, but I mean, like all the tricks in this notebook, I believe he includes snippets of like how you might implement them yourself, and they're all in PyTorch. So yeah.
Okay.
Great. So I also looked at this discussion thread by I guess great. It says share best single model CV scores, and I noticed that people have been posting their CV scores and public leaderboard scores, as well as the inference time. And so I picked out a few notable times and sort of put them into a table. And so, I mean, as you can see, if you're using debug large, it's roughly about half an hour. So if you're using debug large with 5 folds, then the inference time, according to ACM HIT, is 40 minutes. If you're using 4 folds, then yeah, using debug large, it's roughly about 30 minutes. So one outlier is this this user, something in China. Like he's using debug large, and his inference time is 6 minutes, which is a lot shorter. And I don't know what he's doing there. And the other sort of different thing that's been tried is debug base with 4 folds, which is 11 minutes. Yeah, so this kind of, I guess this kind of gives you some ideas of how much inference time you should expect. Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing I noticed is, this is inference time on the public leaderboard, right? The other thing I saw is when I actually ran the notebook I was referring to, that one, it ran reasonably quickly. Probably it's again using debug large. I don't think it's doing debug V3 large. It's just debug large, because V3 large and debug large are different again. So it just uses debug large. But what I saw is the running of the score took a lot longer than just the inference time. So obviously there's a lot more data that they check or that they run it on before they report the score. Just, and I haven't checked, but do you know, Jack, off the top of your head, whether there is a limit on the, of course, it's not multiple hours, but it could be, of the order of an hour or plus minus. Is there any kind of a bound on the inference time in the competition, or no?
Well, I guess I don't know, but I guess normally it's just 9 hours.
Okay, that's total, right? That's because I mean, you can always pre-train and load your pre-trained model, and that wouldn't count, right?
Yeah. So you mentioned the times here. Surely, so are you saying these are the times for just the part of the test set that belongs to the public leaderboard?
That's and because when they report the time, I'm assuming they report the time that they would be able to see based on their runs, right? Which only runs on what is exposed of the public leaderboard. As Steve has mentioned, there's, and I think we saw this in the last competition too, that the public leaderboard, even in the public leaderboard, they only expose a fraction, right? Because when they actually test it, because there were only, for example, in the last competition, in the patent thing, there were only 36 entries that they were exposing. But when they actually, when they ran your notebook for the purposes of scoring, they ran it on a much larger data set, public still. And of course, private is beyond that. So I'm assuming this is just on the public because unless, and that leads me to a question, because I don't know whether there is any easy way of measuring how long it takes the notebook to run on their actual public test that they use to report the score. Because that seems to take different time. The only time I think they can that we can measure is the time for inference, which would be whatever they expose of the public leaderboard.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure where these times come from. Right, and maybe this guy is using a different measurement to the others. Yeah, that's kind of all I have to share.
But that would make a difference in the effectiveness score, right? Is he high on the effectiveness scoreboard? That guy, that whatever China, the guy who is at 6 minutes on inference?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Sorry, what's your question?
The question is, if the inference time is small, I'm assuming, and these are single models, you said, right? Like these are not ensembles, correct?
I believe it's like an ensemble of the models from the 5 folds. Yeah, but if you divide this by 5, then yeah, maybe that's
but they're ensembling multiple different types of models. It's just the ensemble across the folds or the averaging of the predictions of the folds, right?
So according to that discussion thread, so what they do is like, so when you're doing training, if you're using 5 folds, you end up with 5 trained models. And then when you're doing the inference, you run the test set through each of these 5 models, and then you do some kind of ensembling, right? Like averaging.
Right, average or whatever, weighted average. Over.
Yeah. So this is how much time it takes when you do that.
But what I meant is you're not ensembling a Deloitte model and a Roberta model and, some other kind of model. Right. And it's just the same model, just using the effective best model from each fold.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was just curious whether, because he's getting so much better inference time, I was curious where his ranking is on the effective, because there is also the effectiveness leaderboard, right? We saw last time.
Yeah.
That there is an effectiveness leaderboard, which is different. If you go to the
so if it's 6 minutes,
overview or the leaderboard or something where there is effectiveness leaderboard. I was curious whether, that one, and whether he is high on. He is. Okay.
Oh, I don't know. Well, but then why Nakama is? But these reported numbers, they might be like a few weeks ago, so maybe they all have improved since then.
Yeah, but it is the case probably that among these guys, he's probably the highest ranked, right? Because I don't see anybody else in that list. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to listen to the Grandmaster series video as well. So, but I haven't gotten around to it. That would be good to listen to that video and stuff too. So, and you know, some of you are also kind of attending the NLP with transformers. In the process, I found out that there is a Stanford course, much like the Berkeley course on unsupervised learning. The Stanford course is on transformers, but not just NLP. It's taught by the NLP professor, I forget, Manning, I think. But it's transformers applied to a variety of domains. I'll post the link. I think it's a pretty good course, and I think the lectures, the video lectures are available along with supporting materials. So I'll post the reference to that if you're interested. So it's like transformers in NLP, transformers in vision, and then maybe for Arto and Steve and those who have done reinforcement learning, but apparently there's applications of transformers in reinforcement learning as well that I was unaware of. So multiple multiple uses of transformers. It's not a very long course, like about 6 or 7 lectures on, and most of them are guest lectures. I'll post on to Slack. Any other comments or thoughts from people on this competition? On things they think ought to be tried, or yeah, most of the notebooks I see doing well also utilize the entire essay rather than just the discourse type and discourse text. So it seems to, providing the context of the entire essay seems to make a difference.
So which notebook have you been using? So you mentioned
the only one that I, if you go back to the, I think it's one of the top scoring single. It's, I think, on the discussion page. Let me see whether I have the. Give me a sec. I can. Just let me. Oops. I lose connection. Oh no, there I am. Okay. Give me a minute while I see whether I can share the relevant screen. Okay, let me know if you guys can see my screen.
It's just black so far for me.
Okay, let me try again.
Yeah. Oh, I saw it for a second. Now it's disappeared.
Can't see it.
No, back to black screen.
Ah, interesting. That's weird. see. Okay. Jack, are you still sharing? Because this new share, which I don't know whether, no, that's not what I wanted to.
No, I'm not sharing.
Let me see. Weird. Oh.
Do you want me to share?
Let me give it one more shot. If not, I can just point you to. Anyway, if this doesn't work, I'll just post the one that I'm. Can you guys see it or not yet?
Not yet. No, for me.
Okay, never mind. Let's not waste time. I'll post the link of the notebook that I'm using in that. Maybe you can pull it up. So I posted the link in the chat for the notebook that I'm.
I don't see a link.
Yeah, maybe you're sending it to one person.
Sorry, I seem to have lost my connection. For some reason, my internet connection seems to be flaky this morning. It's still connecting. Anyway, I posted it to Slack. It's one of the notebooks that is actually fairly high. If you check for the highest scores, it says leaderboard 0.619. And I ran it, and with a few slight modifications, not to the primary notebook, but to some surrounding things, and it gave me a pretty similar score. So it looks like that notebook is good, but basically, much like word of caution, it's more I wanted to do it just to see what the person was doing and what kind of results he was getting and what kind of approaches he was taking. Word of caution, it uses his uploaded Tiberta large model, which he has uploaded to be a data set, but as Steve and I realized painfully in one of the prior competitions, you run a risk if you're using something like that, because at any time that model can disappear and or get modified, and then that's no good. So that's why I was saying it's somewhat probably better to use Hugging Face on Colab or something and train your own model on Colab and then go around utilizing it. So.
But do you mean like you can train models on Hugging Face now?
What do you mean?
Like, I thought you mean like we could either train on either Hugging Face or Colab.
Oh, you can definitely train on Colab, right? You can just use Hugging Face on Colab and download the data from Kaggle and train your own model, and then potentially upload it as a data set. I think Steve has done it. I haven't yet done the last part, which is uploading the model as a data set. So, Steve, you have done that, right?
Uploading a Hugging Face model from Colab back to Kaggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
any
so
model. I didn't mean a Hugging Face, just a model.
Yeah, you just save the the weights of your model, and then in Kaggle, just create a new data set, and then you just copy it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not hard. It can just take a while to do.
Is that because of the uploading speed?
Yeah, because of the uploading speed, and depending as well on like how much data you have in your data sets, because you're only allowed a certain amount of private data. So
Oh, that's right. You had mentioned, right? Like if you make it public, then there isn't a limit, but if it's private, then there is a problem, correct?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So in some ways you're better to make it public because you get much more space. Like it is sort of private anyway, because it's specific to your own model, so nobody else will be able to use it anyway. So
Yeah, and also, I mean, in fact, yeah, as you say, it's kind of, you have to know how to prepare the data for it in any case, and people have to know to search for the models.
yeah.
That's what I meant, Jack. Was there any
Thanks.
other question related, or that was your question?
Yeah, that was kind of the question. But I guess you need a professional account to do that, right?
What do you
on
mean?
Colab?
No, any account can do.
Oh, okay. So you still get enough resources with the free account?
With the free, you mean the free Colab account?
Yeah.
I can't remember what the difference is. Is it just that you've got shorter maximum training time?
Yeah, I believe that, and you're not. I think one is shorter training time, 4 hours or something, rather than, you know,
Yeah.
I don't think there is a limit if you are in the pro category, right, Steve? I don't think 9 hours is an issue in Colab if you pay for it.
No, there's still a limit. I think it's like 12 hours if you pay. Oh, sorry, but yeah, like Colab has 2 categories now. You've got like the base, so you've got the free one, and then you've got the basic paid for one, which is what I have and what I think you have. And I think you're limited to 12 hours there, and plus as well, you're not allowed to shut down your notebook. You got to keep it running. You got to keep your computer on. Whereas like if they have the expensive paid for one, then I'm not sure how long you're allowed to run that for. It's probably as much as you want. And you can shut down your computer and it'll run in the background, but it's something, it's pretty expensive. It's something like $40 a month or something. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really outside my league or whatever. So like the other ones, well,
Yeah, same here. I just paid the $9 or $10 or something a month.
yeah. But like in terms of like saving your model and stuff, yeah, there's no restrictions on the free one for that. Your only problem is, as I say, the amount of time you can run for is quite short, I think, compared to the other one.
Yeah, and I have seen some tips and tricks for keeping your, you know, for the 12-hour limited one, which we have, Steve, I've seen some people post some tips to make sure, you know, you do something to not log off or not have your computer log off.
Yeah, I think that was for the free one. I'm not sure if you need that if you pay the £10, that's $10 a month or whatever.
Nice. Yeah, and then on Kaggle, as Steve was saying, as long as you make it public, I don't think the size of your, I don't know about the, ginormous models, but at least for there are many people who have posted Tiberta V3 large models on the data set. In fact, the one I just ran and posted the link to is on chat is a Tiberta large model that's been uploaded as a data set.
Please send that link. Did you send that link somewhere? Because I haven't seen a link.
Yeah, if not, I'll post it because I think my internet disconnected so it'll be messy for me to connect right now, but I'll post it on chat for sure. I'll post it on the Slack channel for sure.
Cool.
Oh, and congrats, Steve, on, I think as somebody requested, maybe one of these days we'll give you an hour of our time and you can talk about what you did for the, I forget the name of that thing, but
the UbiQuant.
China Stock Market Prediction Challenge, I think. So have you won a gold medal yet, or is it the highest you have ranked?
Oh, that's the highest I've got, but yeah, in the end I was a bit disappointed because it was, what, 14 places off a gold medal, whatever. So, but yeah, no, that's the best I've done. So yeah, getting better. I saw that you got a bronze medal too. So
yeah, it's nothing, I think. But you know, there's a difference between 28 and 258, but still.
Yeah, like although like in terms of the decimal points, it probably wasn't that much difference in the score.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I guess you can both like share like what you have done.
Yeah, mine is a subset of what Steve did anyway. So when he talks, I think mine will be covered. But yeah, it will be interesting to see, especially the dynamic part. I think that we were both trying, but Steve managed to succeed, and I just gave up. Ran out of time to get that working.
Yeah, as I said before, though, like the notebook with the dynamic part, it was worse. So like, even though it was like training on the most recent data, it made things worse. So
yeah, that's kind of weird how that turned out. But
yeah, I had a lot of trouble getting it to like run at all with that. So perhaps there was something wrong with it, but certainly didn't help any.
Yeah, that's why I kind of, I tried this and that. And then at the end of it, I was like, okay, about, there was a day or less than a day left. And I was like, okay, I'll be so caught up in this, I'll fail to submit. So let me just do a couple of static ones. And, I said, okay, then I'll work on it. But as usual, once you make the choice, then I was too lazy to go back and fiddle around with it.
Yeah, because my notebook was like an ensemble, I think, of about 5 different models. And yeah, like, so I tried to get all 5 of them to run in real time with the new data. And at the end of it, I could only get one of them. The other 4 just kept crashing and I couldn't get them to run at all. So I only ended up with 1 dynamic model plus the 5 static ones. And as I say, the notebook that didn't have any of the dynamic stuff, it fared better than the one that had that dynamic stuff in. So lucky I didn't get the other 4 working probably.
Yeah, actually, similarly, the other frustrating thing for me in the last text competition, the patent ones, is towards the end, I was trying to, again, ensemble more models, which, I think would have improved my score a bit. But what I ran into, which is a really stupid problem, and these kind of problems annoy me because they are more a infrastructure issue rather than a real, it has less to do with deep learning and more to do with all the setup you go through. But the frustrating part was, how the data set of Hugging Face is not automatically available in Kaggle, and you have to install it. And the way it worked in the ensemble, I don't know whether you faced it, Steve, but the way it worked when I was trying the ensemble was some of the ensembles, some of the models in the ensemble, I should say, used the data set of PyTorch. And some of the models use data sets from the data set from Hugging Face. and the sequence in which you install those things seem to matter. And that took me a while to figure out. Even now I made some notes somewhere that I have to go check on which sequence worked and which didn't. But you had to do it in a particular sequence, meaning, you could load the PyTorch one and use it, and then load the Hugging Face one and use it, but you couldn't go back or something like that, or vice versa. I don't recall which sequence, but only one of the sequence worked. And it took me so long to figure that out because, the other didn't work, and that kept tanking a set of models for me. So I don't know whether any of you faced that problem, but I was just like, oh man, come on. Just, if you have the transformers uploaded, make sure you have the data sets of Hugging Face uploaded as well. Why is that? I mean, nowadays, everybody uses Hugging Face things to do.
I think now the data sets are available. So some of the latest notebooks I've created during the previous competition, I think the environment included the datasets library. So
the Hugging.
Sorry, cannot hear you.
Yeah, is it when you say you mean the Hugging Face datasets are automatically available on Kaggle?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, so I think it changed towards maybe towards the end of the previous competition we participated, the patterns.
Yeah, because that was such a thing otherwise. I'm glad they fixed it. They fixed it. I'll try it. Because even in this one, I was doing the EDA that I shared last week. I forget, I think you may know him, the Love Science guy, the kid who is on Fast AI and stuff. He had a notebook which I was modifying and using for this competition, and he was still uploading the data sets from Hugging Face or installing it.
It might be the case if you use the environment, it got frozen when you create the notebook, and you can enable the option in Kaggle to use the latest image, I guess, or something like that. So there is a
so if you see
something
which turns that capability on, if you see something to that effect, please post that on Slack. That would be really helpful.
Oh yeah, sure. I will have a look at it.
If you see something, because there was even in this competition, I was using a notebook and I saw I thought he was installing datasets. So it would be great if datasets are automatically installed, because then
I think you can just download and upload your notebook, and it will use a newer environment. Just make sure to remove the lines that install datasets, and you should be updated to the latest Kaggle environment.
That's a neat trick. How did you figure that out in the first place?
Cool trick that if you download and upload again, that it will pick it up.
It's just a theory, because so it relies upon the assumption that the metadata would be removed. That Kaggle specific metadata will be removed from the notebook, and then you just have a fresh start, right?
Sure. Trying. Okay.
Cool.
Very cool. Okay. Anybody else have any comments? You read it? No. Okay. Okay, if not, thanks for joining. I'll post the links that I mentioned, Jack. If I don't see it in the chat, I'll update it in the Slack channel. Thanks everybody for joining, and see you all next week. So will you be around next week, or you're headed on vacation, Steve?
This is my last day today, so I'll be back in a month or so. So good luck with your competition.
Cool. So. Yeah, see you. I think it ends on August 23rd. So by the time we join, we'll be done with this one. So
yeah, so
have a good break.
Back for the next one.
See you, everyone.
See you.
Okay, cheers, guys.